So today I'm reviewing the TOMSHOO double air double door camping tent. Um, this is a smaller tent used for, I would say, maybe backpacking. It is a little heavy for backpacking. It's got let's say close to 4 pounds 4 pounds in weight. Maybe not so bad for two people. Maybe share the load, give one person the poles and you carry the tent part. But anyway, it is a pretty compact tent. It comes with a rain fly, and it also has a pretty nice container area. If you look at the bottom of it, once this thing gets set up, right now what I'm doing is I'm just undoing the poles so I get the poles in. And you can pretty much make this freestanding without having to put the pegs in the ground. But if you want the rain fly to be snug, not flop around so much, you want to put the spikes in so that it will hold it. But I'm going to go ahead and fish the poles through. Now these have the elastic in the middle. Kind of like a parachute cord kind of elastic cord. I forget what you call those things, but they have that in the middle of the poles. They're pretty thin poles. They're not very heavy. So this thing said it's 4 pounds. And it's kind of pushing it, but they are kind of light poles. You just feed them through. And basically I'm making an X on the top of the tent. So I laid it out. I didn't put the spikes in because I find it easier to put the poles in when the spikes aren't in. But I'm just adjusting, just trying to push it through. The tent has 2 doors to it. It's got a front and a back door, or 2 side doors, I guess is more the way, because you kind of lay sideways through it. So you got two doors, and you'll see once I get this set up that the doors unzip down. So basically the netting and the door itself go to the ground. So you want to make sure you roll that up so that you're not stepping on the netting and tearing the netting. But you'll see that here in just a little bit further. Now these poles, when I put them in, I noticed that they had a lot of flex to them. Sometimes when you get a tent, the poles have some stiffness and you feel like you're just going to break them, and you kind of hear the fiberglass cracking a little bit. These flex really well without any fear of cracking, and I really put a lot of pressure on them when I was putting them in here, when I was putting the tent top up, so you'll see that. But I didn't hear any cracking. They flexed really well, and didn't really have much trouble with that. This should only take a few minutes to set up. This is the first time I was setting this tent up, and I'm just trying to feed the poles through and make sure I got it right. But it is nice to use a ground cloth with a tent. This one doesn't come with one. Most tents don't. Usually I just carry a piece of painter's plastic around with me, about the size of the tent, and then put that underneath the tent so it keeps the dust and dirt and rocks and stuff like that from poking through as much as you can. But there is vents on top of this. You'll see as I'm putting this up, you'll see the vents on top, and the rain fly rides on top of that so that it lets air circulate through when it's all closed up. Now the rain fly does come all the way down this 2 sides, and then it covers the doors, so you get the circulation through that side. So now I'm just putting the poles in each of the corners, and then you'll see that the tent pretty much is just freestanding. And I'm putting a lot of pressure on these poles. You can see, it's kind of fighting with me to to get them into those holes, the amount of pressure that I'm putting on them. But like I say, I didn't feel any give whatsoever. So there's the tent. You can see it's, you can't stand up in it, obviously. It's what I would consider like a pup tent, kind of a smaller tent, and get you out of the elements. And there's the door, and you'll see the screen on one side of the door. So if you roll it so that the screen is protected by the door, when you're getting in and out, you're less likely to snag it and put a hole in the screen. So you just kind of tuck it in like that, and it'll be safe. So now I'm going to put the fly on, and the rain fly is where you start fastening down to the corners, along with putting in the spikes. And then there's some rope that comes with it to pull the sides out a little bit to help the circulation. Once you put the ropes on, and it pulls out the sides, you'll see that, and I didn't do it in this picture or in this video, but I think it's listed. You'll see a picture on the listing itself with the ropes pulling out the sides, and that basically just covers keeps the fly from touching the net or the tent. There is a pole that goes across the middle along the top, and that creates the cover for the door. You'll see that's kind of laying across the top of the door, and I'm going to put that pole together here in a second. And what that'll do is it'll create the kind of a, what do you call that, like an overhang, an eave, I guess. And once this is all together, it's a pretty tight tent. I mean, as far as, it doesn't feel very loose. In the wind, it looks like it'll hold up to the wind pretty decent. Because all the pieces together, it just pretty much works as a team. So you'll see that once I get this center pole in, that it tightens up really, really nice. And I was just adjusting the fly around quite a bit, because I didn't stake it down with the stakes, but you can see where I'm pulling out. That's the area where when you have the rope tied to it, and the rope staked to the ground, it'll pull it out tighter, much tighter. But you can see the overhang there. It kind of protects the door on both sides. There's the other door on the other side, which I didn't open, but you'll see it there. And again, I haven't staked this down, so you kind of see it kind of flopping in the wind. But once it is staked down, it is pretty sturdy and doesn't flop around. I was going to put the stakes in, and I was just looking through the instructions that came with it. It's pretty simple instructions, just a few steps. But I realized, I could put the stakes in, and I chose not to. Just for the demonstration, is getting it set up. But it does come with them, everything you need. And I'm just putting the corners of the fly down. And you can see how low it goes on the side. Help keep that rain out. And then I'm going to crawl on it in a moment. I'm 5'7.5", and I had room at the end of my feet and at the top of my head, but it was just enough room for me. I mean, if you're a tall person, like 6 foot, I would say this is going to be a real tight fit. Now, you can go diagonally. Diagonally, you have a whole lot more room. But if you're just going to lay straight across, then it's going to be